order. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today is July 28th. Can I have a roll call, please?
Cleary?
Here. Yep.
Here. Aaron? Here. Fire? Here. Caparros?
Here.
Coleman?
Here.
Whalen?
Here.
We have the meetings from July 14th. Any corrections, additions, deletions? If not, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
The motion on the floor, and there was a second. Any questions of the motion? Roll call.
Cleary?
Yes.
Aaron? Yes. Fire?
Yes.
Caparros?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Whalen?
Yes.
And anyone from the audience wish to address the board? I'd just like to make a comment. Today, and this is on behalf of the audience, the Village Hall, I and Bob received several phone calls of a few businesses and several residents, both in Beecher, out of Beecher, and within the state of Indiana, complaining about Indiana being blocked for a week for road construction, and the road construction hasn't even started yet, and doesn't even look like there is any road construction. We're talking about a bridge between Peatone and Beecher on Indiana. Everybody familiar with it? It closed last Monday. There hasn't been any work done until today. Got on the phone with our county board representatives, county engineer, and made several other phone calls trying to figure out what was going on. And apparently the project is delayed because of AT&T having to move a phone line. So what we've requested is basically, can the road open back up if it's going to be a long time before AT&T moves that line. But unfortunately, I think the damage is done, because they had one business today tell me that if in fact this project takes all the way up until November, that they may not be open in November. So like I said, I made several phone calls. Some I did talk to, some I did not. Tomorrow we're going to make a call to the county engineer to see if it's feasibly possible to do it like they did the bridge on the east side of Indiana, east of Route 1, where they did it half and half and they had a stoplight. But what investigation I've done thus far is someone went underneath the bridge, and it is in very, very, very bad shape. And the county is claiming right now that it's in such bad shape that they can't do it half and half, that they have to do it all at once. And after I thought about it, it makes sense, because if the bridge is in bad shape, which again I think we verified that you're putting all the traffic over to one side, so you're doubling the traffic on that road, which may do it more harm than good, and they may have no choice to do it that way. But in any event, we're still trying to make some phone calls, see if there's some alternatives to try and keep the road open, or get the road back open, at least for a little bit of time. But I'm afraid the damage may have already been done, because people may have already rerouted their traffic. One of the businesses, I would have never thought of that, but there's a lot of people that travel that road in and out of Indiana, and apparently it's within their route, and it stops there. They do their business there and go on. That's where you'll see a considerable drop in their business. And like I said, there were two businesses that actually called today. So for the audience that would give an update, it is a county project. By all means, anybody can call the county engineer, call the county board representatives, call anybody from the county, and voice their concern over this road and see if it helps. I think it's probably too late in the game to make any changes, though. We'll see what happens. Finance Administration Committee, Trustee Corey.
Do we want to go through the clerk's report?
Hey, why don't we do the clerk's report first? I know I missed something.
Give Jeanette a chance.
Well, the only reason is because we have that one thing to approve, so. Total tax income received since the last meeting, $197,878.04. And the Knights of Columbus are requesting to hold an Intellectual Disabilities Fund Drive in Beecher from Friday, September 19th through Sunday, September 21st. A copy of the request is attached. I also provided a copy of the letter I would send back to them if there's no objections to the request, so that you can see the stipulations that we put in the letter to them. These questions kind of come up before.
Did you understand our concern about Route 1 and Indiana Avenue?
You look, read the letter in the back.
Oh.
That's why I provided.
I'm looking at theirs and they left it wide open.
Yeah, no, this comes up every time. That's why I went ahead and made a copy of that letter for you guys. Any questions?
I apologize, I guess you're really good. That's the second thing, finance, can I go on now?
You want to talk about the audit?
Finance and administration, trustee Cleary.
The loan we talked about for the STP.
Well,
Yes, ma'am.
after your last meeting, you gave us direction to go out and look for information on a $150,000 loan. Nelson and I met with both banks a week ago and explained, we put a letter together and explained what we're looking for, which was information for that loan. And we asked for everything, 2 years through 10 years, any options they could think of, left it wide open to them to try to come back to us with their best deal. So we haven't heard back. We're getting till August 6th to respond, which is hopefully prior to the board meeting next month. And we're hoping to have information then. So we made the contact. It's out there. They both expressed their appreciation for us considering them, in our plans. And I'm assuming they'll get back to us, next week.
Okay.
And there's no big hurry. This phase 1 project will take 8 to 12 months. So as long as we have that loan in place by October, November, we're fine.
The audit process has begun, so that means staff's going to be busy over the next week, getting all that stuff prepped for our auditor. The Illinois Municipal Insurance Cooperative update. Right now, we're expanding the co-op to include both Plano, Pontiac, Monmouth, and Aroma Park, which gives us a larger group, which gives us a little more buying power. Did you want to talk about the loss ratio, Bob?
Yeah, we're projected at a 90% loss ratio, which is exactly where they thought we would be. That means that 10% retainage becomes our money. Quotes are being obtained for next year's insurance period. We're safe from any catastrophic loss because we're only self-funding up to 35 a claim. I think it's 35 a claim. Anything over that is carried by Lloyd's of London. So we're safe, and they can easily project where they think they'll be as long as they have that stop loss. So, and they say the more the merrier, as long as the more we're adding are high qualified candidates. They're not high risk. So it's moving right along.
Okay. That's your report.
That's it. Public buildings, parks and properties, and recreations, trustee Wynn.
Update on 625 Dixie Highway. The electrical plumbing is near completion and all framing is complete. All waivers of lien and certified payrolls have been provided. This brings the total paid. I'm going to make a motion to pay their next installment of $37,735 to JDK Construction.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any questions on the motion? Roll call.
Whalen?
Yes.
Coleman?
No.
Kucharov?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Aaron? No. Cleary?
Yes.
This brings the total paid to $42,735 with $86,765 remaining to be paid. Next item, we were up there this morning with the furniture guy. Went around the office and talked about layout and countertops and everything else, and it seems like everything is moving forward. Everything looks good. There's a few things, of course, like any move, you're going to move a few things around after you get in there too. But that was on the agenda for this morning. Also, if you've driven by the property, the landscaping is being cleaned up, and there's going to be river rock put in around the bushes and so forth. There's also talk about putting a nice flag arrangements on the south side of the building, which if you drive by there, there's quite a big area there where we can put seating and flags and everything else. So it's just being landscaped and spruced up.
Just want to comment that the river rock that we're getting is being recycled from the roof. So the rock that came off the roof is then going to be put on the landscape. Right? It was Buddy's idea, and a pretty good idea, so.
So the
So
river
that
rock-
we need to get rid of it.
Or
There's
paint.
nothing wrong with it.
So that's what we're doing with that. Next couple of days, I would think that the drywall would start going up. I know he was putting, plates in there as far as mounting plates and everything else. So it's real close to getting the drywall in. So things are moving along very well. And I don't know if you guys wanted to add anything to that, but if you haven't seen the building yet, you can walk in anytime when there's builders there. We also have keys, so we'll give you a little tour of it.
Show them that.
Oh, yes, this is,
This is what we would like to have, but can't afford.
and if you want to pass that down, I printed it out. This is a LED sign out in front of the building, and this will be probably many years down the road before we can afford this, but this sign is just shy of 20 grand.
So we're gonna settle for the $750 painted sign that we have at the outskirts of town and at the Public Works Garage for now, until we can afford that sign.
So you did go with the monument sign?
Yeah, and the brick, well, you know, you can't tell other businesses along the highway that have monument signs, and we do something different, you know? So this one is the brick, would be the same color as the building. It's a little lighter in that picture,
Right.
but they try to match the brick. We don't want to take away from the building, and we had debates about other communities and what they've done with their signs in front of their municipal complexes. And some of the towns have built signs that just take away from the building. We didn't want to-
Where would that, if you did do this, where would it go without blocking people's view of getting on and off of Route 1?
Believe it or not, there's plenty of green area between the public sidewalk and where our parking starts. Because if you remember, it was a bank here for the summer.
Okay.
Okay. Buddy, you want to tell us something about the scoreboards, everything done down there? Scoreboards?
As far as the village, that we are concerned, yes, but ComEd still has to install one last meter. But the one to the south is up and running. The one to the north requires a meter, final hookup.
Okay.
Other than that, it's
So we
done.
have to paint the poles and so
Yeah,
forth.
Beecher Rec said they would be painting
Paint the
it.
poles. Okay. All right, sounds good. Now, while I got you on the agenda here, what about the mulching on the playgrounds?
That was done the very next day. It was, all the weeds were removed. If you drive
Were all
by
of them
there.
done, Bud, or just,
Huh?
just that one playground? was done,
Right,
not all?
the other ones weren't, as exaggerated.
Yeah, that was tough. I mean, there was a lot of weeds in there that needed to be done.
I think when they built that playground, they didn't put any, weed barrier or anything underneath it, so it's all mud and all dirt, so whatever goes in there. Now, the other two, I know they did. And the one we did at Kitty Park, we put, a barrier under there and
Now,
sprayed the
did we
weeds.
put a barrier back under this one, or did you just go through?
No,
the
right
whole
now,
thing?
all we did was till it up and pull all the weeds out, so that's gonna have to be, there's really not a lot of mulch there, so come springtime next year, we're gonna have to literally pull it all the way off, stage it to the side, spray it, and then put down the barrier and then throw the mulch over the top of it.
Okay. All right, we'll keep an eye on those. Archived village records begin to move to their new home. I think their new home is going up here to the maintenance garage. There's plenty of room up there, probably for the next 20 years, is what.
You know what? After they empty that old Beecher rec closet, I don't know if there's gonna be any room left up there.
I don't know, it's kinda surprising, it's a little overwhelming, but
It's a perfect time to clean house and start to move that stuff.
You gotta remember, we have at least 55 years of records stored in that building. And we're trying to get those records out of there before we move to the new village hall, because our new village hall is not gonna have a lot of storage. So Public Works built this big records room in their loft area. And we're in the process of moving those records to the loft area. Buddy, that was a winter project that they had 2 winters ago.
yeah, it's completed. The problem, Jeanette's the one that's gonna have the headache now.
Well, we still have 2 rooms to empty, the big
Right,
one.
and then you get to go
So
through
we
all
gotta-
that.
We didn't realize there were some more boxes in there that haven't been logged yet before they get removed. We may have to keep them at that location until we can get permission from the state archives. Because for any records, we have to file an application, which takes 2 to 3 months to get approved, and then they have to send us a certificate back authorizing us to destroy records, and we have to list out exactly what they are and what years. There's a retention period, so it's been been neglected the last couple of years because I just haven't had the time to do it, and now we're backed up, so. We will be doing that in the next few months, working on that.
Okay. That ends my report.
Your planning, building, and zoning. Here.
Building Department monthly reports and polls for your review. Status of the vacant buildings in the old downtown. A letter was sent to the Buckmeyers reminding them of their obligation, and a September 1st deadline was given to provide the village with a timeline on when the building will be completed. The committee will also be meeting with the Salmons to discuss the old Lumhofer building.
I can make a comment on that. What had happened is the village hall received a complaint about that building. Based upon that, we had some come in.
He agreed to come in and talk to us right away.
So we took advantage of it, saying, hey, we need to talk about this, but at the same time, what are you doing? The complaint was the sliding door came off the hinges. He had already put it back on the hinges. We've asked him then to put a barrier in front of that so that nobody can even try to get in. But once again, he is ready to remodel that entire building. He's waiting for the architectural drawings to come in. Once they are in, he said he is ready to go with that building. So these are one of the buildings that we've been talking about, that we've been encouraged by the contacts that we've had. This is one of them. Whether or not he follows through with what he intends to do, I believe he intends to put a pottery business, ceramic pottery business there, and the other part still may remain storage. So.
And upstairs, he might make a little.
What was it, apartment, was it? Apartment, yeah.
But he needs water and sewer, because that building doesn't have water and sewer. And this goes back to the prior administration, but he was promised free water and sewer without a tap-in fee. And we wouldn't put it in, he'd have to put it in. But even under the prior administration, we offered free tap-in just to get that building used. Because right now, without water and sewer, you can't technically.
The water's in the front, correct, Tom?
Yes,
And the sewer's in the back?
yes.
How are you gonna get to that water?
It's gonna be Buddy's problem when we get.
Because that is one very thick sidewalk.
I think there's wood
Oh,
on that
it's-
sidewalk.
Yeah. We talked about.
That's
directional
one
boring.
mass to get it.
I think there's an old sidewalk under the original.
We talked about directional boring.
He's gonna take that front section and mess it up.
So we killed two birds with one stone.
Okay. Comprehensive land use plan revision update, $40,000 grant agreement was on Mrs. Schneider's desk the day she resigned. We do not know what is going to happen with our grant administrator at IDOT informed us that the agreement will be signed and that it will take more time than expected due to the shakeup. As a result, we have canceled the July PZC meeting once again due to the lack of agenda.
And we probably will cancel August again, but make an effort to meet in September. So September 25th would be the next meeting with PCC, and I hope that we can have Tesca on board and working on this project.
Okay.
But again, this IDOT thing,
That is my report.
Public Safety Committee, trustee Cool. Public Safety, trustee Cool.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Police Department monthly report is enclosed for your review. Code Enforcement monthly report is also enclosed. Mosquito abatement, Bud, you want to talk about that?
Well, it's ongoing. We're spraying on Thursdays. I know that now that it's drying out a little bit, but people need to be aware we are spraying. We've larvicided, we've done everything that we can. You will see more abundant mosquitoes because of all the rain that we had from the floodwater mosquito. It's a little bit different one, but they're hatching now.
Okay, I've gotten some good comments on your spraying too, so.
Thank you.
For what that's worth. Next I'll engage rollout date, Chief.
I attended some training. It was through a conference call on the internet with Nixle on June 30th. I'm in the process of putting together what they call some CSV files to make some talk groups. I'll talk with Marcy later and the mayor and Bob, also Jeanette, on how many groups you want, what groups you want, and then I can go through a lot of the training with Jeanette. But it's going forward. It's much far advanced than what we had I mean, the other, the Nixle that we had before just was like a cakewalk, and this is beyond me. I need someone with a little more computer expertise, but it does just about everything, and it's a wonderful system as far as notifications. Those that have Nixle, I sent out a notice on the railroad crossings. I talked with Union Pacific today, and they said they don't know whether they're gonna close those crossings or not. They said maybe, maybe not.
Oh, really?
Yes. So,
So they can replace the rail without closing the crossing?
they don't know if they're gonna do it on the 29th. They're looking at more towards the 31st.
Okay.
But he
We had
could,
this before where they gave us dates, the dates
Yes.
came and went, they never closed, and all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, bing, they closed. So we know they're gonna close, we just can't tell you when. It's gonna be for
right.
the Indiana Avenue crossing.
And they will have flaggers at Indiana Avenue. And that's all I have on Nixle.
Chief, Nexel, somebody has already signed up for Nexel. Does this auto sign them up to the next, the engaged portion, or they?
Yes,
sign up?
they're already enrolled in it. They'll still receive all the messages, and now if they signed up just for the texting, they won't get the email. If they sign up for email and texting, because the texting, I only have like 137 characters to send out. The full body goes out into the email. So if anybody asked, have them sign up both email and the short message service.
Do you know about how many people have signed up for Nixle so far?
I think there's 245, because it tells you how many are there. And according to Nixle, for our population, that's a good amount. And some of them are reporters from Chicago that signed up for our Nixle.
Okay, thank you, Chief. 2 new squads are placed into service. Chief, you wanna bring us up to date?
Yeah, they're mostly gonna be on the midnight shift. You might see one around. I had people ask me, they said they haven't seen the new cars because they are assigned to people on the night shift. They're black and white Dodge Chargers, 37 and 39. One is assigned to Bill Little, who's out right now. But we will be utilizing it, probably you'll see it on the day shift some, to fill in. We took the SUV, which was M38 was the SUV, and we assigned that to the code enforcement officer. He can keep all his code enforcement equipment and that, and he utilizes that when he's on code. So we have enough cars now in rotation, and I'm hoping, if my fortune telling is correct, our repairs are gonna go down significantly. By the way, we assign cars, we have lower mileage now. The older ones we're using, not for frontline, but for support.
Any progress on Bill Little, as far as returning?
He's going through physical therapy now, so it's just a matter of when they say he's able to come back. It is a long process with an ACL, and I talked to him on Sunday, and he said he's feeling good. He's anxious to get back, and as soon as the doctor gives him the word, he's going to come back.
Okay, thank you. Police Department acquires new equipment for free from the military as part of a leasal agreement. Chief?
We picked up a couple Humvees. In the past, the military trucks we acquired through Lesso, we were able to title, and they were ours. These are not titled to us. They are not ours. They're owned by the federal government. They loan them to us. Secretary of State will plate them. They will have regular M plates, but when we're done with them, we got to give them back. They're going to be utilized. The Humvee's got an advantage over other four-wheel drives. It's a diesel motor. It's four-wheel drive. You all saw it in the parade, I think. They sit high off the ground. They also have the ability to pull the ESDA trailer and also move equipment. If we have such disaster, we can set up for that. What we called the Army truck, we're going to put up for sale. That's the one that's got the 15 kW generator and also the compressor. That one was ours. We hold a title to it, and we're able to sell it, and that's what we're going to do.
That's the one that's on the back of a tow truck?
Because the starter froze up.
I thought I saw something today.
I did too.
I saw that Sunday, I'm thinking, why is that sitting over and?
What happened was it froze, and I tried to unfreeze it, but there were just too many high weeds there. So I just had them pull it in. They got to replace the starter on it.
Chief, on this one that we're gonna sell, anybody can bid on this thing, or?
Yes, anybody can bid on it. I'll probably utilize 625 Dixie to advertise. I also got to put it in the paper too, because we're also going to sell the old 2007 Crown Victoria. And they'll be there. We'll get the pictures for Jeanette so she can put them on the website. I have a lot of people offering me money. They'll buy it right now. I wish I could do that because the offers are good, but unfortunately I can't. I got to take bids on it.
On the military vehicle or the 2007?
Either one of them. I got to take bids.
No, I mean, which one are you getting offers on?
The truck.
Truck, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, new police radios being utilized. EastCom is experimenting with a new digital portable radio to be used by all police agencies called StarCom, which integrates all public safety agency communications statewide. Chief, you want to tell us about this?
StarCom is operated by the state. It's a statewide radio. They're P25 compliant, and that's a big thing now. Everybody's looking for P25 compliant. And all P25 compliant is, it's kind of like a suite of standards for digital radio, and also the deployment of P25 compliant systems. It allows for a higher degree of equipment interoperability and compatibility. If you hear it, it's like someone sitting right next to you. I'm going to turn and see if there's any radio traffic here. What we have now is the EDAX.
Channel 1.
EDAX, which is an enhanced digital, but we're not digital, we're analog. County doesn't know which way they're going to go with the EDAX system, whether they're going to improve it or move on to something else, and we're on their system. Since EastCom dispatches for Peatone, Beecher, Moni, Crete, and now we've taken on South Heights and Stager. South Heights and Stager are on StarCom 21. So we're looking at something that we can all interface together. And right now it's working. We got all these departments on this radio. I don't know why it's so quiet right now. But we're looking, Wednesday is a board of directors meeting with EastCom where we're going to go over the figures and the cost and see if we're going to go forward with this.
Are you going to that meeting, Chief?
Pardon?
Are you going to that meeting?
Yes, I am.
That'll be you and me.
Okay.
Chief, you want to go into this other thing that you and I talked about?
Yes, that's in August. This is digital.
Any questions of the chief or myself?
Just one, we're gonna be voting Wednesday night, whether or not to purchase these radios. The EastCom budget, the EastCom fund is willing to pay for the first 2 years of the lease purchase. Then all the police agencies have to pay for years 3, 4, and 5. That was the latest proposal we had on the table. So for
I thought it was
2
the
years-
first 3 years they're paying.
Maybe it's changed, I remember the first 2.
I think it's the first 3.
I remember for sure.
First
First
3,
three.
and we only have to pay the last 2?
Yes.
Wow.
Now,
I've never
yeah,
heard it.
it could have changed. My
Yeah.
understanding is for the first time.
And so in 3 years, we will have to pay more to EastCom for the use of these radios. But as far as life safety is concerned, these are top notch. And they're interoperable, so in theory, you could use that radio anywhere in the state to get a hold of your agency or to get a hold of any other agency on the same system. It's that sophisticated.
They're durable radios too. We had a demonstration with them. And they actually set the whole radio in a vase of water. It was underwater for a good 4 or 5 hours, and they were keying up the mic and you could still talk. I mean, the technology they have and the way they're sealed, it is amazing. But that is the benefit without us knowing what county's gonna do. to go with new radios that, my understanding, Eastcom's going to provide the first 3 years of payments and the radios. I mean, that's a huge savings. Now, when we take it over, there's gonna be a difference. We're only paying $20 per month per radio for the service. With Starcom, it's like $32 a month per radio. And we got a discount on the first 6. So we'll probably go from, I think we pay $1,800 a year now, we'll probably go up to like $3,600 a year just for that service. But that's down the road, that's like 3 years down the road.
Okay, that completes my report.
Thank you. Public Works Committee, trustee Burke.
Water Department monthly reports are enclosed for your review, along with Sewer Department monthly reports. And the water billing register for the months of May and June is also enclosed for your review. Water main restorations update, Elm and Prairie are complete. Any chance on the other two got done
They're
today?
done.
Huh?
They are done.
Catalpa and Woodward got done today?
They were done Friday.
Friday?
Yeah, they got the message.
Did Priority do them?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
Question. Did Priority do the one on Woodward towards the south end of the street?
Yes.
Yes.
They're not too happy out there with that restoration.
Well, there was another one that was a water main that was there after that.
Yeah, I know.
And that one was added on. They just did it for nothing, so I'm not gonna have to sit there and complain. We'll probably have to come back and throw some dirt underneath it. We didn't get charged for it.
We can address that, it's not a problem. We'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
Committee continues to examine causes of low bill to pump ratio. Meters at the wells have been calibrated. At this time, the committee is recommending that we do a leak detection of the entire community. Every time we've done leak detection, and this is something me and Brian had brought up at our last committee meeting, is we've pieced it together because of funding and what was available in the budget for that year. And it was this section of town was done, okay, well, now the next year, let's get this area of town leak detected, because we got funding to do this, okay, well, and we've pieced it together over the last probably 3-4 years, we've done a little bit of leak detection, and every time we find something, but we've never had a clean sweep beginning to end of the entire town at once, and that's where you're gonna pinpoint your problems. So, I'm kind of falling into the next agenda item, but, you know, the fact of the matter is we need to find out how to increase our bill to pump ratio, by reducing the amount of unaccounted water. But I know we talked about the well fee, did we get the results from well 4?
No, I have Chris coming out because they got 2 meters they have to test,
Okay,
in place, and when he's doing that, he will also do,
well 4.
well 4. Yes, that's correct.
So we've had 3
We've
and
had-
5
yeah,
are calibrated,
We've had
everything's
5
good.
and, right, correct,
Those
we
are-
got the paperwork for that.
Those are done. The last thing was, did you get the proposal today for the?
I got phone, I talked to Randy, our numbers are good, so, from Simpson, I'm waiting for ATS to call me back. I would imagine they'd be comparable. I mean, I think ATS is a little bit higher, but I believe that if you made, I would make the recommendation not to exceed, $10,000, you will achieve your goal.
Right, which is my next part, which is consider a proposal to conduct leak detection for the entire village. There are areas that have never been done still. There are areas that have been done 3 years ago. There are areas that were done 2 years ago. There are areas that were done 1 year ago. Can I do this in the form of a motion, Jeanette? If I were to do not to exceed.
It's on the agenda, so we'll see it.
Okay, so I will make a motion to conduct leak detection for the entire village in the amount not to exceed $10,000.
Second. It is a motion or a second. I have a question, right? How are we deciding which company to go?
You know, I say,
I say, are you deciding, is the committee deciding, or you deciding, that's what I'm getting?
well, it would be a committee decision, I won't do anything on my own. So I think I'd get in touch with Brian, me and Brian, we have good communication together, and I think we can hash it out one night while he's coming home from work and I'm going to work.
couple of ships passing in the night and get it figured out, pick one. You know, it's gonna come down to, I think, a dollar amount. You know, there is a couple of things that Simpson does have going for it with the map and the CDs that they do for us every time with all the valves and everything else, from doing all the valve turning and everything. I think that could be beneficial, but, you know, where another company may miss some that aren't mapped out on our original maps at the Village Hall that Simpson has found and identified in doing valve turning, but, yeah, I think we can figure that out.
I want to say that this 10,000, not all of it's new money, because we saved 6,600 on the DFD installation. We can apply to this. So we're only looking at 4,400, which is what we've been budgeting for normal maintenance anyway.
Any other questions or comments? There's a motion and a second, roll call.
Cleary?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Capros?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Whalen?
Yes.
One other point, Jonathan, didn't you do some testing with chlorine strips and some of the
Yeah,
culverts that were leaking
the
water?
other day, you know, I went out with Buddy, and this kind of falls back to water loss, and I was gonna talk to Brian about it tonight. I had the day off and I went out with Buddy last Friday, and we checked a few things that, you know, we had talked about, where water's constantly running in Pine. I mean, we climbed through rocks and got right down in there, and, I mean, there's no chlorine detection at all there. The sump pump that we see, it always runs right behind Beecher Manor. Went there, pulled it out of the sewer, you know, got a test there, not a trace of chlorine anywhere, so.
Well, the problem you're gonna have is we don't use this chlorine concentrations you have in a pool.
No,
You really don't want people
no,
drinking
these
that.
are,
So do we use
No,
gas?
they're very sensitive tests, yes, from a 0 point.
No, the
Zero.
problem is it has nothing to do with sensitive test. It's how long does that chlorine stay in the water before it dissipates?
Dissipates?
Because if you're 10 or 20 or 30 feet away,
Brian,
may
long
anticipate
enough,
it.
Brian, you know, that you would still have a trace of it with the reagent in handheld. It's not like pool water. There's a difference, like I said, I can do that. I can go to the furthest end of town here and, you know, just take a sample right now, cracking it. And the demand over there, the chlorine eating up, it would still, if you look at it on a colorimetric scale, you would still have you'd hold it up and have a glimpse of pink. There's nothing, these things didn't even turn it on.
so we're saying that the water is coming from groundwater.
Those areas are.
Would you consider these outflows illicit discharges?
I'm not gonna say that at this.
Well, if you do, you've tested them chemically, we should make a record of that, because every year they ask us that question.
There's, Bob, you know what, we tested the water, you know, the source of it, where it's coming from, like I said, could be, you know what, this town was a labyrinth of field tiles, where they exactly come from one pond to another pond. The only way that you could really systematically do that would be if we were to like die-tab one pond, you know, die-tab a pond, die-tab another area over here that would be in question. If we knew that where there was an old field tile, throw a bunch of dye into it, and then you would be finding out, you know, where your source is at. There's a couple areas that I'm kind of a little bit suspect of. The mayor brought one out, and I think he might have a legitimate idea where something might be happening. Also, you know what, the leak detection, you know, Jonathan is right. We go back to 2005 really when we started leak detection, and you know, I haven't been back to Beatty lumber since. There might have been something that rotted off with the soil that we've had in some of these new areas, and we just, because they're out of sight through a farm field or something, and we just haven't seen it. So I think we're going about it the right way, and I don't have an answer for you. I do know the areas that we checked, I'm pretty confident is not, you know, potable water.
if we could sit here and we could throw,
Darts?
you know, yeah, we could throw darts with blindfolds on all day long, you know, and try finding the needle in the haystack. You know, we gotta approach this in a manner. I mean, we've all, like I said, you know, the reason why we went over there behind Beecher Manor was that there's so many mains and stuff that run behind there that really, I mean, that was in my back pocket where I thought maybe something could be happening. You know, and the best bet is to go about this and try to find, you know, it by scientific tests. I mean, we're no experts, I can't tell you exactly which way the water's flowing underground and everything else. We gotta find out, we gotta have the leak detection test, and I think we're going about this in the right way, of getting the whole town tested at once.
Even Greg said, you know, you look at our storage tank, and I know that ground around there has always been saturated, and it's, we only meter water going into the tank, we don't really meter it coming out. Heck, one of those, you know, the fittings could have had a, you know, bowl in it.
Leak detection probably won't catch that.
They possibly could.
They could.
Yeah, because that's, you know what, that's, a lot of that's metal pipe over there, and it's got tracer wire on it.
Because I'll tell you, I have no clue where this is coming from. It's a big mystery.
We're losing a lot of water.
Yeah.
We've been continually steadily going down. We're never going positive. We literally hit a spot, we've been dropping ever since. And that flow out of Pine has been going up. We could have a dry season, they have water. There's more going on than we think.
Yeah.
So, we gotta do what we can.
Alright, water tower overflow pipe rerouted to Gould Street. This is a temporary pipe, and a permanent pipe will be installed. This is due to the problem we had last time. It will no longer all fly out right there into that alley.
And it's my understanding that claim's been settled.
Penfield Street drainage issue between Railroad and Gould Street has been,
I'm very, very,
Permanently,
very
but-
excited about that.
has been resolved.
Corrected.
With the installation of new storm sewer pipe. I did notice when it did rain heavily
You
one
betcha.
night that there was no standing water there, so
Yeah, I can sleep at night.
it's a positive thing. Consider a motion authorizing the letting of bids for a $20,000 crack sealing program. Committee met, we came up with the areas of town that would be addressed this year. So I'll make a motion authorizing the letting of bids for a $20,000 crack sealing program.
Second.
Motion on the floor, and there's a second. Any questions?
Just so if this motion's passed, bid opening will be August 20th. The board will review the bids August 25th. I think that's the working date.
Any other comments? Roll call.
Whalen?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Caprows?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Cleary?
Yes.
Update on street name sign and pole replacement program. Hunter's Chase is complete, and poles have started to come in for the Falls program.
I believe all of that inventory's in for the fall program, it's just a matter of
All of it's here?
scheduling the work, guys on vacation.
Okay.
Matt's getting married, so it might be a little extended, but it will be done.
Did you order the street name signs yet? I can't
I
remember.
believe he did.
He did?
In 2015, next year will be the last year for the program. All the poles in town will have been replaced. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback with living in Hunter's Chase now that that area is done. People really like them, so it's a good thing. Ash borer tree removal update. Buddy, you wanna give us an update on ash borer tree removal?
People, I can tell you this, they are dying off. We have departmentalized, talking to Floyd, I think we're gonna be taking down, allocating 2 days a week at just tree removal. And I don't have an exact count right now, but just off my head, I can tell you there's well over 100, and they're of different different sizes. And there's a couple maples out there that need to come down too. Now, the problem that I would imagine that you're gonna have to, or the people are, hopefully they're gonna understand, but when we take them down and you grind them, we're not just gonna be able to go ahead and throw a replacement tree next to it. A, we don't have the money for it. I mean, there's a couple things we're looking at. But when you take a tree down, you grind a stump, you still gotta have so many feet, you know, to the side of it. And then you have to look at the type of tree that goes in its place. So where there was 2 trees before, they might have to be happy with 1 tree, or there might even be instances where we won't be able to even, you know, plant a tree because of another utility, like a ComEd line or a gas line. But it's gonna be bare in a lot of areas. I can tell you Graham subdivision, there's like 35 of them going up, you know, on the north, west side there. And they're not little.
I have a question on the board. We'll take care of the ones on public property,
Yes,
and we'll remove them in a timely fashion. But what if we have a tree, an ash tree, we're gonna have a lot of instances of this occurring on private property? That's a threat to not only that property, but an adjoining property. We have the right by ordinance to take action, but what is the board's desire? Because it's gonna happen. You're gonna have
it's already happened.
trees to bark and they're ready to fall. And what would you like us to do in that case? Do it on a complaint basis only?
I think you gotta look at each one on a case by case.
I don't want us actively going on private property.
I don't think you can,
Without-
because,
Well, he's saying when ordinance states that we have the right to remove the issue. My
right,
problem is, I think that gives the government way too much power to go on someone's private property. Yes, if it becomes from my standpoint, if it becomes an issue for public safety, where this tree's literally ready to come down on somebody's house, we need to pursue it with the property owner that they need to remove it. We should not be removing anything on somebody's property. That's my stance. I don't think that's the right thing for the village to do. We should support these residents to help them understand our concern, but I don't think we should be going on.
My suggestion is we would treat a dead or diseased tree the same way we would treat any other nuisance, where we would long form it and ask the complainant to go to court along with us.
I think you first need to be proactive and help the residents understand the concern that's out there before we go on.
Well, you have to do a series of steps to get there. There has to be, what, Jeff, a notice?
We've always done that. We've always tried to work before, that's the last thing we wanna do is take it to court, but we have to give them due process. The ordinance allows us to abate a nuisance, but we're not gonna abate it unless a judge signs an order saying that we can go in there. So we bring it into court. If they fail to appear and answer, then the judge will give us the order to abate the nuisance. But we do work with the residents, say, these are our concerns. We'll help you out the best we can, but there's only so much we can do.
I'm afraid what we're gonna run into is a tenant situation where it's a rental home and the landlord is somewhere in California. That's where we're gonna have the problems. But if that's the way we wanna go, I think that's the way we should proceed.
I think that's the legal position.
Right.
The concern is if you make it broad-based, that, well, we're gonna rip down every one of these ash trees, and a resident feels that their ash tree really isn't really ill by this ash borer yet, we're just giving an open ticket for the village to be strong-arming all the way through. I don't think that's
In a
right.
period of 12 months, a healthy ash tree will lose its leaves, lose its bark, and then the branches start to fall off. And it takes only about 12 months, right, Bud, in some cases?
Well, in the smaller trees, it doesn't even take that much. You know, the bigger trees, yeah, you're looking, well, it can take up to 2 years, but once they start getting the suckers growing out on the bottom side, you see it all over the place right now. That tree's infested, and it's dying from the top to the ground. And it is a health issue. I mean, we won't go on anybody's private property. We've already had requests and had to deny them. But there are a lot of them out there.
Mr. Mayor, there could be a financial crisis with individuals also. What's the average cost for removing one of these trees?
1,500.
Depends on the size of the tree and who does
I
it.
had 2 done for $650.
2 of them?
But they were little ones, weren't they, George? They were
They're probably 30 feet on,
30, really?
yeah, 25, 30 feet.
They grow quick.
I'm
There's
just
one
seeing,
right in front of my house.
obviously you're not paying the prevailing wage then, are you?
Arnold's Tree Service.
Arnold's?
My neighbor had one removed in the backyard for 500, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say about 1,500.
And that's
Depends how big they are, you know.
How
And
big,
that's-
how close they're located to the road areas, if they can get beautiful back here.
I'm just saying there could be a possible financial problem for the homeowner.
We went in a different direction when we asked the question. I thought Jonathan was answering your question, which is what I thought. What if we had a homeowner that requested us to assist them to take the tree down? And Jonathan, I think you said you would take it on a case-by-case basis, and then next thing you know, we're talking about taking it with question, or was there two?
Yeah,
There's
no, I
actually
mean,
two questions.
no, but there's going to be somebody in town that's gonna be complaining about a neighbor, because they're afraid that tree's gonna fall on their house. This happened in Peatone not too long ago. There became a big issue with the board before the board could even respond, it blew up in their face. I'm just saying, let's think about it now.
But what I'm saying is, I thought you were asking the question along with what Ron was answering now, and then you went and take him into court, so I'm just trying to clarify. Did we answer your question, or did we answer both questions?
I don't think we'll follow the process for a tree that we would any other nuisance violation. It's a nuisance, by the time the tree is dead and ready to fall.
So you're still not following, but there's two questions.
I don't think the village should be going on private property, cutting trees down.
Even at the request of homeowners, so we're not taking it on a case-by-case basis, that's what I'm trying
The
to get.
village cannot
Two
go on
questions.
private, we don't have insurance to go on private property and remove trees.
So we are gonna be solid and say, someone calls us up and says, I have an ash tree, I need help, I can't afford it, can you assist me in taking it down? The answer is no.
I would say yes, the answer is no.
Because if that's the case, then
I
every
mean,
resident has a right to
You
say,
might as well
well,
plan on taking another 1,000 trees down.
Yeah.
Because everybody should get that right.
I just wanna make sure that.
Just because
Yeah.
someone can't afford it doesn't say the village will take it down. Every taxpayer in town should have the right, the same right, whether your income's 10,000 a year or 100,000 a
Yeah.
year.
I thought you asked the question one way, we went another way, I'm just clarifying.
The way we went
Two
is the way
different
we were
questions.
headed.
Okay, just wanna make sure, just clarifying.
That concludes my report.
Economic development, trustee Meyer.
Bernard Whaling sewer extension update, you were gonna provide that?
No update, there's still engineering.
Okay. Smartphone application marketing campaign, I had an entry in the parade, and it was really neat listening to people on the sidelines. Some people were waving their phones up there going, I've got the app. And there were a lot of people you could hear from the car saying, the village has a smartphone app? So it was kind of nice, we did get a lot of publicity. I was publishing notifications from the car, telling people as we turned the corner in the parade where we were. We just got information from the app company that we've had 277 downloads, which, since it really just launched when school let out, that's pretty good. That's about 6% of the whole population. If you look at the 25 to 54 demographic, I went into the census statistics, that takes us to about 16% of them. So that's a pretty good download rate for something that's that new. I did send an email to a couple people at the village, or the school board yesterday, giving them a promotional sheet. The one we did from the village, only I tweaked it a little to promote the calendar portion that I think would be good for the parents of school kids. So hopefully they'll send that home with the kids and we can get some more downloads. Website overhaul update. Jeanette?
A couple weeks ago, I'd gotten a design from Webfoot, and I didn't like it. I didn't pass it on to you because I didn't like it at all. Because she had redesigned it kind of in the wrong direction. And I went through a good half an hour on the phone with her with a number of different details that we were looking for. I'd also talked to Trustee Meyer about possibly getting someone to take some professional photographs for the website, maybe for a collage or for, you know, just an overall look, because I'd like to see a professional look. When I look at other towns, we want to be able to attract residents and businesses equally. We want it to look professional, and the pictures we have are not professional, so that's something that we might want to look into doing at some point. But she's still working on the redesign. I haven't heard her at all in the last week or two, so I think I gave her a lot to work on, so I don't have a new design at this moment.
Wayfinding sign update. We started looking at various sign companies to decide on price for trying to find trying to put up wayfinding signs for the old downtown area. I spoke to the company that put the signs up for Mantino, and those for a single sign with 9 slots is $5,000 installed. I know you sent me some emails from some other companies. I haven't talked to other people. It's kind of on a case-by-case basis. You have to tell them what you want, and then they give you prices. So we're still kind of in the information stage with that. We have to have somewhere to put it.
Yeah, for 5,000, though, that really looks nice.
It's a nice sign.
Yeah, that's a nice sign.
It is. The Mantino ones?
Yeah.
Those are sharp. And if you have smaller ones, that has 9 slots. Those are pretty tall. If you got it, he doesn't like them. If you did a shorter one, the price would come down. He thinks they're too modern looking. I think they look sharp, those Mantino ones. Yeah, you could do different colors than the green ones,
I
but,
don't know if you're street
well, you could have them in blue instead of green. The color is variable. So we are still working on that. I think with these businesses opening up downtown, it's gonna be more important. We have to come up with something to help promote business. If these people are willing to go down there and invest some money into the buildings, we're gonna have to do something to promote it. The next topic is consider an ordinance deferring water and sewer tap-in fees until the time of certificate of occupancy and providing a $2,000 credit to the water sewer refuse account of any purchaser of a newly constructed single-family home as an incentive to buy in Beecher. We talked about this a few meetings ago. A builder had come to us and asked for us to provide some incentives to buyers. And we talked about giving some kind of rebate back to the buyers, and the village attorney said that that was not legal, we couldn't really do that. So then we went back and thought about waiving the sewer and water tap-in fees, but the Public Works Committee didn't care for that. So we kind of all got together in that, and actually, Public Works came back with a proposal that's here for giving them a $2,000 credit on the water bill, however long that lasts. If it takes them 2 years to eat it up, they get 2 years worth of free water. That would also waive the meter fee for new construction too. And this would only go for the first 50 units, or it would expire in May 1st of 2017. And it's something where it would only do 50 homes, and it's something where we can ensure that it goes directly to the buyer as opposed to something that we would rebate to the builder that we don't know if the builder's ever gonna give it back to the buyer or not. So this is something we kind of agreed might be a better way to go.
It also defers the tap-in fees for
Yeah.
1 year or time of stay.
And it's 50 homes or 2017, May 1st, 2017, whichever comes
Now,
first.
there was a point of clarification and it needs to be discussed. Does this include homes that have never been occupied yet?
We did
Building-
not discuss that.
You can't.
No, because
If
there's
you
no,
do
the
that,
tap-in fees are already
do that,
paid.
you might as well do it for every home that's sold.
Exactly.
This is only for new,
Yeah,
it
new
even states
construction.
new construction.
That was my understanding.
That's what was always, because otherwise there are no tap-in fees.
Okay, so if a building permit is issued for a new home, after the effective date of this ordinance, then that would apply. Just want to make that clear, okay? Because there was some question as to whether or not
How many do you have that are active right now, building permits?
they're active.
That were issued? Probably the one that,
We have one under construction in Castletown, but we probably have 15 homes that were built in the last 7 years and never were occupied.
no, I'm saying recently that homes that have building permits that are not finished, they're still being built.
Well, that's a technical question because we probably have 20 COs in the hopper that never been issued because the model homes never got a certificate of occupancy.
You're dodging my question. How many homes are being built currently right now? Not homes that are built with for sale signs in front of them right now.
One.
One, okay. I would say you include that one, which is the same one that just came in deferred, even though this wasn't presented at that point, and that's it. If a home is already built, finished, complete, although they have not gone for a CO because they have no buyer or closing, no, those are not included. This is new construction. I would say a house that's being framed right now is still considered new construction. Other than that, I mean, I think that it is what it is. I mean, let's be realistic. This is an incentive to try to help these people out. We all talked about over the past couple of years, you know, smart growth, filling empty lots, everything else, right? This is what we're looking to accomplish. Marcy is trying to create an incentive for that to happen. I think it's a great thing, you know.
We found
It was a
it,
good compromise
well,
as
we
far as
found
the
a
things.
happy medium of what, trying to achieve what you were looking to do, what we were concerned about, really, I was very concerned about, and based on, and really, credit John came up with this, you know, out of the box thinking, well, what about this? And we debated where the pluses and minuses and what we thought was gonna be the best fit, but it was
I
for
like
new
it too
construction.
because we're not gonna get their $2,000 rebate till we get our tap-in fee money. You know what I mean? So the $2,000 rebate's covered when the tap-in fee's paid. The the village got that.
And in Elaine's concerns, I know there were concerns before as far as when we were talking about ways and those, about being able to collect it and having staff keep track of what had been done in the past. And this way, it's just a credit to their water bill. When they use it up, it's gone.
And we stay legal with our, the law position on this is we cannot give money to, we have to work through the builder to push the money to the resident, and we can't guarantee that. So this is really the only way to work around
This
this.
is like a big welcome basket.
And the way the ordinance is written, it's only the original purchaser too. So if somebody buys the house and sells it in a year, that next purchaser does not get it.
If we can't, Jonathan, I think what Bob was trying to get at is we had a discussion today that there are newly constructed homes out there that just never were occupied. So I was asking the question, would that be maintenance? That's why he was trying to give you a number on that. But I think it was just miscommunications of what you were asking.
I'm fine with it, it's clear as doing
Yeah,
what
and that's why we were asking questions.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me, I can both ways, I just want to make sure it's clear. The other question that I have to make it clear, this is for owner occupied homes, is that correct? If a guy comes in and buys a house and rents it out, that doesn't warrant a $2,000 rebate. Because I was from the Public Works Committee, I remember, there's a company in town right now, American Homes for Rent, they're buying homes left and right.
That's why he's asking. You have to build the house from the foundation up. You can't just buy a home, that's what we're
Okay.
clarifying.
But if American Homes for Rent comes in and says, I want my $2,000, but they don't intend on living in the property.
But they won't build a new
But they're not gonna build a
construction.
new home. They're gonna buy an empty home.
Oh.
And I think.
They're looking to buy the empty home and fill it.
Okay.
Not to say never is never, they could do that, I suppose, but
They won't.
That would be like a bank building a home and saying, well, we're hoping we're gonna rent it. They don't want to rent it, they want to sell it.
And he put into the ordinance that it's only to be applied as long as the purchaser is residing in the home.
And I think that's what,
So-
I think that was the intention, that's what I was trying to get.
Yeah,
Now, Marcy, how are you gonna market this?
that's a good question.
I think we write a letter to all the builders.
I think,
Yeah, to the builders.
and I think that's
Copy
the,
the ordinance, here it is.
Be on our website?
I think we're open for press coverage.
Where?
They have to obviously let that.
But we can certainly let them know.
I think we should write a
Do a
letter
press
to all
release.
known builders that have contractors licenses with us, the generals, that this is available, plus those that we know that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. Here's a copy of the ordinance, first come, first served, knock yourself out.
And we can do a press release to the papers if that be. Yep.
Any question? Is it just to builders or is it to anybody who owns a lot that might want to build a home?
Them too.
Yep.
I just don't know who a lot of those people are, you know what I mean? These lots are, apparently there's a lot on, I wanna say Fir, but that's not the right street.
No, yeah, no.
You know which one I'm talking about? Forest? It's Forest. That lot sold, and there's a couple that's gonna build a home.
They saw them taking soil borings, and I saw them out there with their imaginary foundation where the house is gonna go.
Yeah, right behind Stones, I think, somewhere right in there. So it's not a builder, it could be someone who
It's a newly
owns a lot
constructed
that wants
home.
to, yeah.
That's all we're doing.
Right.
Then I got another question. Do you want to carry this out to 2017? Because in the meantime, you may have a new turnaround in the election here. Does that matter? We need the other,
No, the reason we did that is because by the time we get the word out, this construction season is gone. It would be for next spring, and it's gonna take several months to get a house to CO. So we're gonna give them 2 construction seasons to go, and there's a cap of 50 units on it anyway.
Yeah, they're basically only getting about 2 years
Yeah,
out of it.
so the committee talked 2 years, but really 2.5 is really 2. You know,
Because you're at the end of this construction.
Yeah, this
season.
season's
Yeah.
over.
50 in 2 years, you'll be doing good.
And that, even if there isn't the board, you still have 4 people that be here 2 more years.
well, I just wanted to bring that up.
All right, I would like to make a motion to approve ordinance number
12, 15.
deferring water and sewer tap and fees until the time of certificate of occupancy and providing a $2,000 credit to the water sewer refuse account of any purchaser of a newly constructed single-family home as an incentive to buy a Beecher.
second.
The motion on the floor, and there was a second, any questions? Roll call.
Cleary,
Yes.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
LaBrus.
Yes.
Yes.
Whalen.
Yes.
Next, we're considering a motion to approve an incentive package for all new businesses located in the downtown area. We had another committee meeting and talked about incentives for the specific area that we defined when we all sat down and talked about Old Downtown. We had gotten a request from the gentleman who's trying to build or redo the Bistro building, the old Kenning building in the 600 block of Gould Street. We looked at a lot of different things that we could offer to businesses down there, and I'll go over this list, but the important thing to note is there would be very few that would use all of these. Most of them would only actually use probably one or two. But we talked about waiving the first year business license fee, that would be $50, waiving a liquor license fee for the first year only, $1,000, waiving a building permit fee, $2,500 estimated on what they're doing, waive video gaming license fee for the first year, $25 per machine, waive special use permit fee within 1 year if they need one, $750. I don't know if I'd call that free, it would actually be a water and sewer credit of $500, however long that lasts, and if it's a very water intense business, that might last a month. Full 1.5% in local sales tax reimbursement for the first year upon proof of payment, and enterprise zone status application made to SSMMA, and we're actually going to talk about that in the next item. But these were the topics we discussed, and like I said, with this particular applicant, he might be using most of these. For some of the others, like when we had the coin shop, he would even just use the business license fee, and that's about it.
In the building permit.
And the building permit, yeah. So in some cases, they would be using a lot of it, in other cases, they'd be using almost none.
I had one question, and since we've limited to May 1 of 17, it's probably not an issue, but if this was a permanent offer to that district, my question would be the repetitive ones, like every 6 months for a new tenant. Would we do that every 6 months for a new tenant? I guess it doesn't matter now, it's something to think about because we've limited the time to May 1 of 17.
Yeah, I think we talked about it, we just kind of, we didn't really go anywhere with that because we weren't too concerned about,
Right.
I mean, it's kind of a nice thing to worry about, that many people opening businesses, even if some are closing, if people just keep coming in and opening up thriving businesses down there, I guess it's not a terrible problem. But since we were just limiting it, I think we weren't too concerned about that. Questions or, yeah?
It's money you don't have now.
Yeah, we've got absolutely nothing down there now, so.
The only cost you may have is if we have to pay an inspection of some of the building permit fee. That'd be the only cost in the village of this.
I know you're saying new businesses, but what about like the pizza guy that's still trying to open his doors? Would this,
I would consider,
Do they have a business license now?
no,
Yeah,
I would
consider
business.
him to be new.
Yeah.
business then? Because he's the one that had the fire, right?
and up the street would be the same way, or somewhere in time. If we could entice him to do something with his building, I would consider that a new business. It's been closed for how many years? Just to get it going.
Just on your, we also have made contact with that one, and that is what we have done as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes I.
Which one? Oh, somewhere in time.
We'd have to put this in the ordinance form, but before we did all that, we wanted to gauge, the committee wanted to gauge your opinion on it.
So are we gonna do the motion tonight to approve it, or do you have to do it, or does it just have to come back as an ordinance?
I think you can approve the incentive package, and administratively, we could do that in the next 30 days if something were to come up, and it may. But we should probably get into the ordinance form if we get the housing.
And should we be limiting this only to the downtown area? Because I mean, we've got some places where, I mean, look at the old pizza place that was next to McEuro place. What if he wants to do something?
Well,
Right around one.
that would be something I think we would have to discuss separately. We specifically set this up, at this point, just for the downtown area. We have defined it, we had determined that it was basically a blighted area, and we were trying to do something to stimulate some activity there. It would probably be a little more difficult to do onesie-twosies, because the rest of that area where he isn't bad, it's just one little building. It's probably a little tough to make that fair, to where you're gonna give it to one business and maybe the one next door doesn't get it. This way, you're improving a specific area.
This is geographic based.
yes.
If somebody wanted to buy a real estate, come in and talk to the committee
Yep.
and cut a deal.
And do what they do.
We can, you know, so I think the door's wide open on all properties that are business. But here we're saying, we're gonna do this and put it in place now because we're trying to get people to do something down there.
And then we don't have to have every single one of them, each individual person try to reinvent the wheel down there. We have a program set up for that specific area, and if they qualify, then they get it.
Okay, so this refers to the business or the owner of the building?
This would be the business. Now, we talked about this too, we kind of ran into a wall when we were talking about water, because in some cases, we did not give it, because we did not talk about doing the owner, we talked about the restaurant. Did we not? We kind of ran into a wall with that.
The water, to me, even if you're giving that incentive to the landlord, again, you would hope that the landlord gets that on to the lease. Now, the one scenario that we have is, from what I understand, in the one building that there is work going on, I get the impression there is that type of arrangement made where if he does work, he will excuse the payment of the leases. Now, granted, we don't know whether he does or doesn't, because he won't be gonna pay the water bill, but bottom line is, it's still, let's face it, somebody's gonna end up paying it, and it's an incentive to occupy the building.
I'll be much more brief than that and blunt. I really don't care who benefits. If these incentives get new business to open, at the end of the day, I don't care who applied for the
That was one.
Yeah.
And then I have to agree with Bob, is that any other business that's vacant right now, let's say on Route 1, certainly if they came in, we've always been open to discussion, and you're gonna hear about something later on.
It just wouldn't be part of a business area like
No,
this.
they're not.
All right, I'd like to make a motion approving the incentive package for all new businesses located in the downtown area. With this package as discussed about it.
The old downtown area.
Old downtown.
Second, there's a motion and a second, just to clarify and to authorize the creation of the village ordinance, correct?
And to apply it administratively until the ordinance is drafted.
Okay, that's it. That,
Yes,
then we agree.
so
Any questions? Roll call.
Whaling?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Meyer?
yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Cleary?
Yes.
And last, there was sent out under separate cover information about the Village of Beecher Enterprise Zone. And, you wanna go into it, Bob?
Yeah, it's confusing, and I think the reason why we joined on the tail end of this thing is because it was confusing. But at the end of the day, this enterprise zone does not mean anyone is exempt from any property taxes. It's not a TIF district. It allows businesses that locate in the zone, not existing businesses from a new business, to apply for certain state sales tax and income tax credits. It will not affect the village's sales tax or the village's collection of income tax. The only thing it could affect for us is if they get an exemption from the telecommunications tax, which is our tax. But if you want to promote new business, and you can see all the communities that are participating in this, we got to be on an equal playing floor with the communities to the north of us, or we cannot compete. And the South Suburban mayors and managers have agreed to include Beecher in this enterprise zone, which includes, I think, half of the village of Crete and a lot of the communities to the north. It only involves our business districts and our industrial districts. Existing, it can only be applied to existing zoned land and existing annexed land. You can't go into unannexed territory. Now, that doesn't mean you can't change those district boundaries down the road. Right now, this is it. Now, this doesn't mean that if you approve this, that it's gonna happen. It's gotta go through a big consultant study process, go through examination of criteria, and it could just so happen that we're not included in the district or we are in somebody else's. But they have to go through let's call it a phase one alternative review process. And right now, the counties of Will and Cook are picking up that cost. But I think it's something we should do. I was hesitant at first, but when I see the amount of territory they're putting in this enterprise zone, we don't have any territory in it. I don't want to be discriminatory and pick and choose who should and who shouldn't be, so I included all the business districts and
And this mostly applied to construction materials, or new.
yeah, you can get tax exempt building materials, and if you put new machinery in, let's say Art Van Baren's got to buy a big mega mixer, he could be exempt from paying, personal property tax on that, or income tax, or there's formulas they apply, there's some kind of tax they apply to this machinery that he can be exempt from. And it really doesn't affect the village's tax collection. But
Mostly
it's to
on the
encourage
state side.
business, right, and the Sounds for America are trying to do this desperately because we're competing with Indiana for business, and Indiana has a lot more they can offer than Illinois side does.
And a good idea, what it looks like, if you really look at, like, Creek's a good example. The Coles area, all the way up to Steger Road, and then if you look at their intermodal, you'll notice one area has no development there at all, another one has development on both sides of 394. So it doesn't need to have businesses there, it could be where your expected business sector is going to be.
The only parcel of land that I have in there right now that's not technically zoned for commercial use is the old Crescenzo property. You notice that's in our enterprise zone district. But it's my understanding that we might in the future see proposals for senior housing projects and what have you, and they would be eligible, because it is a business, senior housing project, to apply for these tax credits for their building materials.
Well, I would like to make a motion authorizing the village's participation in the South Suburban Enterprise Zone.
Motion on the floor, and trustee Aaron, I think was the first, second. Roll call.
Cleary?
Yes.
Aaron's?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes,
Caprows?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Whalen?
Yes.
and that concludes my report.
The Ilion Expressway, basically there's a lawsuit filed because of the muscle,
Muscle in the back.
back. And basically it's been quiet, there's really nothing new going on. And from what we understand, there are still 4 qualified bidders that are interested in the Ilion Expressway. The airport, I think since our last meeting, it was confirmed that Polk Field was in fact acquired by the state of Illinois. And also I read an article where like 90 more acres, I think, was purchased. And then the paper has indicated that since the acquisition of Polk Field and these 90 additional acres, the reporter in the paper basically made a comment that it's probably at some point in time an airport will be built across that hump, is what I read in the paper. But anyways, railroad quiet zone. Since last May, we have made several inquiries to engineers, other municipalities about possibly creating a quiet zone within Beecher. Not to say that it can and will happen, but we have been investigating it, and we thought we would just report that to our residents. We are looking into it, especially now since the railroad traffic has increased quite a bit. We are getting misinformation from engineers and Village of Crete, let's say, for instance. They've taken it upon themselves to do their studies and to submit their applications, and basically that's the last word we heard, that Crete is willing to help us, which would be a considerable savings. So we're sitting and waiting to see what happens with Crete's application, which has been filed. So once we have some news of one way or the other, or some concrete information about how much it would cost us, and then we could look into the railroad quiet zone and see what happens. Report to the board, then we make a decision whether to proceed or not. Cardinal Creek Golf Course. 2 weeks ago, within the last 10 days or so, something like that, we were asked to have a sit-down meeting with the prospective buyers of the golf course. In my opinion, I think Bob would agree, this meeting that we did have and the discussions that we did have, I think were of the most positive and likelihood that the golf course could be sold in the very near future. Some of the ideas that they had were some of the things that we had projected to prospective buyers as far as use of the restaurant or what to do with the course or anything like that. They had those ideas. And just to give you one example is, I think we were throwing out an example of possibly there would be a 2-year loss to the golf course to bring it back up, and they would, so on and so forth. They're projecting a 5 year, so already they recognize the fact that for 5 years the golf course may not make any money. But what they did ask is what type of incentive could we give them if in fact they did acquire the golf course? And Bob, I'll let you go ahead and go there.
Yeah, let's go back to your case specific. What can we do when we were approached? And I'd rather do that on the Route 1 side. This is a unique amenity to the community as far as these 200 acres of open space. I can tell you right now, you're not making much off of the golf course. The incentives that you would have to offer them would have to be on some guarantee of their increased amount of play or increased amount of sales. Buddies is making a significant, I mean, it's doing very well. If you give them a sales tax incentive on Buddies, you will be giving them something that you're getting now. And we stress to them that it's very, very difficult for us to give away something we're already giving. So we would structure the incentive package to where any increase they have, we can give them back at 100%. I would be willing to do that and just reserve what we have, just to get that golf course sold. We also could do 50% of the total. Now, we did 100% on the grocery store. Remember, we wanted to say back in, I don't think, am I the only one left in this? Were you here, Scott? Gail, were you here? We said, we want to keep the sales tax we have. We will give everything back to you for a period of time to make sure we have to keep the grocery store in town. And what happened is the business went boom, you know. Sure, we're getting what we got, you know, a long time ago. So there's a risk in doing this 100% increment. Or you can give them 50% on the total.
Just to clarify, that you said golf course, it is Buddy's golf course, and the lot to the south, provided the seller agrees to let that lot go with it. And I think we're confident that it's to be a golf course. They don't have any intentions of doing anything else with it, except to revive the golf course and keep Buddy's as it is, and we don't think, at least in our lifetime, there's any thought of turning it into anything else. We should agree with that.
Yeah, and I'd like to look at a couple of things, and it's hard without knowing their numbers. I'd like to have them propose what they want. But you could look at what we're collecting now and say, look, we'll preserve that for 5 years, we'll give you everything back for that for 5 years. Let's say they put video gaming machines in there. Well, we should be getting the tax off of video gaming for that one business. We could pick it back to us at 1% or whatever it is. The liquor license, if you want to give them a first year free liquor, you could do that, business license, things like that. That $1,000 though that you're collecting right now on the golf course, you would not get for that 1 year. But what if the course closed and pushed weeds? We wouldn't get anything. So we're trying to get it sold without us being involved in the sale.
So what we are looking for tonight is that basically a consensus or a direction is that do you agree with the discussions that we're currently trying to have with them to try and keep everything open and move from there.
We don't have a specific proposal on the table to share with you, but shouldn't we be discussing incentives at all with them? That's the question.
Ryan,
You gotta move business. You have to.
yeah. Carson? Good. Like I said, it was a very, very good meeting. So I thought it was one of the more positive ones.
We don't want to tell you who the owners are if we can't do that
You
yet.
can't.
We can't.
Yeah, we cannot tell.
But I can tell you, they're not, they're regional, almost local, which is good news. They're not from California or from China. You know, if you read newspaper articles, Chinese are buying golf courses up left and right. This would be what we would consider a local.
Last but not least, Jeanette reminded me that the Illinois Municipal League Conference is coming up September 18th through the 20th. It's at the Hilton in Chicago downtown. If anybody is interested in going, please let Jeanette know. She'll give you the details and she'll make the reservations if you need to. I know I am going, Bob's going, Jeanette's going.
I'm actually a presenter.
Oh, we gotta go there, heckle him.
What days the days?
September 18th through the 20th, so it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It ends Saturday evening with a dinner. It's normally whatever, it's up to you whether you want to go to dinner.
Thursday afternoon, they have good sessions. Friday's good session, Saturday morning's good session.
Yeah, the preliminary Thursday afternoon, there are definitely sessions that we would attend. I don't know what titles were there.
Small communities under 5,000. Can't miss that one.
Those are always good ones.
That's a hoot. You think we got problems?
So as always, you hear the speech, I highly recommend that if you can go, you do go. It's very entertaining as well as very educational. And I think the networking value is invaluable, talking with your colleagues in other towns. And that's all I have. Anything else? Wow, 8:20. 25, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We should have a roll call.
Wade?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Cleary?
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't know what to say.